doing a spiritual practice of any variety, whether it's Christian or Buddhist or Native American or any flavor, and you want to ask Brother Wayne or myself any questions about this, please go ahead and do that, and he and I will try to respond to those as well. So, yes?
I do have a question, and it's very something you wrote in political psychology, and that's that different techniques we're actually finding out now are actually aimed at different areas of the spectrum of consciousness. We might not have known that earlier, but so we might have asked, why does this person come into high subtle and this person go into low subtle? But it's actually different techniques seem aimed at those areas. So how is one to make sense of all these techniques, and how is one to come to one's own integral practice with basically shockingness, because you don't really want to be shockingness, right? To be authentic. Right. So I guess that's
it's a real issue, isn't it? And part of the problem, on the one side, the danger is Japanese have a saying: chase two rabbits, catch neither. And so that's the cafeteria model that we have of spirituality. Oh, I'll take a little of that, and a little of that, and some of that, and some of that. And that pretty much guarantees you'll catch none of them. And that's why I was saying earlier that it's still very important, certainly during this whole transition period, and maybe indefinitely, that pick a path. I mean, you really pick a path that feels comfortable to you, because there's so many things on these paths that have been tried and tested for thousands of years sometimes, that we can't go fiddling with that formula cavalierly. We have to be really careful about it. We just don't know why human beings transform. That really is the bottom line. Eddington once summarized everything that quantum mechanics had told us about subatomic particles, and the quote was, "Something unknown is doing we don't know what." And that was sort of the summary of modern physics. That was absolutely everything we could tell you about modern physics. That's the similar. It's the same. I gave a quote. I cribbed that one, but what we knew about integral psychology. And I said, nobody knows why anybody does anything. And that's the summary of what we actually know about. The same is true for transformation. We have no real understanding of how and why that happens. So the best thing, this is the importance of lineage. And obviously you don't want to get a kind of slavish devotion or obsession to a lineage. Right. But you want to be very careful, because it's a tried and true way that can transform people. Right now it's like moldy bread that you put on an infection. Now maybe there's an ingredient like penicillin that's actually doing that, but until we find out what the penicillin is, you have to put the whole moldy bread on your leg, because we don't know right now. So a lot of the stuff we're doing is silly, bread and gunk, and eventually we hope to find out more about it. The part of the downside of being in this great, exciting, exploratory period where we're moving towards an integral orientation is just that in being introduced to all the different cultures, we're also being introduced to literally thousands of different kinds of techniques for growth and development. Mike Murphy at Esalen, during the early 70s, had a whole group of people that started a catalog of both general disciplines and the actual specific types of practices that were used to help change people. They stopped at somewhere around 10,000 techniques.
Wow.
So in order to transform, I'd say pick no more than 3,000 and try to work on those. Right now they're all on the table. Right now that's part of the experiment, and what we want to try to do is research that's going to help narrow that down. In the meantime, there are two things that you can only rely on. One is what feels right to you. You have to have an intuitive, it's almost like the discipline talks to you. You feel a deep love of it. You somehow trust it. It's like it's speaking to you. And people generally will have that kind of feeling. And the other thing, the same goes for a spiritual teacher. Generally, if you meet a teacher and there's a real deep attraction, then that's a good sign. And right now, those are almost the only two compasses we have, is sort of your own intuitive discriminating awareness and then teachers that you trust. And you really want to watch them and go, is that what I want to be like? And that's just a very, very good test for that. Other than that, though, it's a dicey road right now. We can talk a little bit more about some of the higher or lower developments as well, but did you have some comments?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't try everything. And it's like I was saying earlier, about when we were sitting over in Ken's place, that you have to pray as you can, not as you can't. So if you do have an attraction to a certain form of prayer, you can try that. But I wouldn't be concerned about getting on this state or that state or actualizing this capacity or that capacity, but have a base spiritual practice that you do day in and day out and day in and day out. And then you can experiment with others even while you have your base. You know what I'm saying? And I like how the Tibetans, do this because they have so many forms of meditation for so many different purposes.
Right.
It's like a grocery store of practices. And I guess sooner or later the person has to traverse most of them at different stages in their life. Like lucid dreaming, being able to be awake in your dreams so you can affect your karma. Or